Welcome to this live video stream brought to you from Leeds City Museum by the Chartered Institute of Library and Information Professionals. The CILIP Annual General Meeting will begin shortly with a welcome by the Chair of the CILIP Board, Martin Wade. The full agenda for the meeting, together with any supporting documentation, can be found on the CILIP website. Please note that as viewers of this live video stream, you will not be able to vote on any of the resolutions at the AGM, as proxy voting has already closed. We would appreciate your patience during the voting phases of this event. We'll be tweeting from the meeting using the @CILIPinfo Twitter account. Please use the hashtag CILIP AGM if you would like to join the online conversation and contribute your views on any of the issues discussed at the meeting. We will now go live to the CILIP AGM at Leeds City Museum.
Feel free to say anybody not here, say yes. I'm delighted to welcome you to the business session of the 14th AGM of CILIP, particularly pleased to bring the meeting to Leeds this year, wonderful city, and as you know, representative of a far less London-centric organisation. It's very good to be up here in Leeds, beautiful place. Thank you very much, Leeds, for welcoming us. Before getting to the business of the meeting, I have some procedural and communication issues to take you through. The Twitter hashtag is CILIP AGM. This can be used to keep track of the conversation. Please note that members are not able to vote with the AGM through social media. This is something that is just not possible at the moment. We need to make sure that the member vote is accurate and clear, and therefore this is not currently possible to do successfully through social media. I'd also like to welcome anyone who is following on the live stream. Welcome on the live stream. Nice to have you with us. Before the meeting can make any decisions, we need to establish whether it has quorum, which is 50 individual members present in person. We are quorum, thank you very much. Jill says we are quorum. I'd now like to explain the voting procedures. I realise that some of this may be familiar to you, but if you please be patient while we go through them again. Can you first confirm that you are a CILIP member eligible to vote today and that you have a white voting card? Is anybody not a member or not have a white voting card? Please make yourself known. I don't have a card. I don't have a card. No, okay. We also have how many proxy votes, Jill? Was it? 11. We also have 11 valid proxy votes have been submitted to the deadline of 1 p.m. Tuesday 27th of September. Proxy forms submitted have been counted and allocated to the relevant proxies. All the votes today will be taken on a show of hands, and every member present in person has one vote, and every proxy present, not peasants, it's very difficult to say. You make this easier for me, please. Every proxy present who has been duly appointed by a member entitled to vote at the AGM has one vote for each member who has nominated him or her. If you have been nominated as a proxy, you will have been given a red voting card. Thank you. I can see Simon has a red voting card. For each person who has nominated you, and how they have instructed you to vote on each resolution is printed on that card. This is, of course, a meeting for you and about all the members, and we welcome questions as we go through the agenda. I'd particularly encourage questions. It's lovely being in Leeds, but I'm sure that many and that way we can all have the opportunity so everyone gets the chance to ask a question. So, we now move on to the formal business of the meeting. we are going to consider Resolution 1 on your agenda. And before we consider the voting, can I ask whether there are any corrections to the minutes? That's lovely. If not, I propose that the minutes of the meeting held at CILIP on the 24th of September 2015 are approved as a correct record. Mike, is that okay with you? Yeah.
I'll second it.
Someone second that, so thank you. Those in favour of accepting this, please raise your hands.
Who seconded?
Mike did.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Are we counted? Thank you very much. Those against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. I declare the resolution carried. Matters arising from the minutes of 24th of September 2015. Are there any matters arising from the minutes? No, thank you very much. There was, no election required and therefore no report to present. Hold on, I skipped a page. No, 2, 3, 4. Sorry people, my pages came without numbers on them.
Report of elections.
Okay, so we are now on item 4. Report on the election for 2016. There was no election required and therefore no report to present. Thank you very much. Item 5, appointment of auditors. Resolution 2, to appoint Hayes McIntyre as CILIP's auditors until the conclusion of the next AGM. I propose that Hayes McIntyre be appointed as auditors and... No? Thank you. Can we second the resolution? Thank you. Mike Hosking seconds the resolution. And can we vote, please? Those for? All counted? Are we all counted? Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you very much. I declare the resolution carried. Item 6. Receiving the Trustees' report and annual accounts for 2015. We now turn to receiving the Trustees' report. I'm going to ask CILIP's Honorary Treasurer, Mike Hosking, to present them. Thank you, Mike.
I noticed they put me very near the edge of the stage there. I was careful not to fall off it though. Good afternoon, colleagues. Unusually this year, and this is the third year I've done a Treasurer's report, I want to cover 3 areas. I do want to report, as always, on our current financial position as presented in the accounts. I want to roll all my speeches into one and do my proposals for subscriptions for 2017. But those are not particularly radical. But what I also want to do then is to look at the commitment we made at last year's AGM to have a thorough review of subscriptions, and I want to say where we are in terms of bringing those forward for 2018. So, first of all, has been the case since I've started doing this, my sincere thanks to Jill, to Bossy, to the finance team, and to all of the CILIP management team for managing our finances in such a clear, good and helpful way. We have been very fortunate for the last few years. Nick, in his previous role, in being able to report a continuing stable financial position, and as you will see from the auditor's report, a clean bill of health for the 2015 accounts from our auditors. Sorry, I keep trying to do the wrong button. I've just got set out, and this was, for those of you that are eagle-eyed, you have already seen that. It was in CILIP update. And if you're struggling to read that from there, it's also in the last 2 pages of your AGM booklet, as is a much more eloquent presentation of what I'm going to say now, because it was written and edited, whereas I will just burble along. So, that's there. Put this slide up in particular to highlight how the stable finances have been built up, and to just bring to your attention that we do have a number of significant sources of income. It's not just member subscriptions. There's significant rent from our premises. There are indeed significant incomes from facet and other publications. So all in all, they get up towards that 100%. So it isn't just member subscriptions, but clearly membership subscriptions are an important part of the overall funding package. And that will be a theme through all 3 sections of what I would present this afternoon. The top headline there says that we made a net operational surplus of 60,000. Actually, we made a net operational surplus of 389,000. But you will see slightly further down a contribution towards the deficit, a large financial contribution towards the deficit in our closed pension scheme. It's not unusual. 95% of organisations have their pension schemes in deficit. It isn't something to be unusual, and it's something that we're managing, but it is something that we need to take account in terms of our finances. I've already referred to rents. Rents contribute to grow. Again, thanks very much to Jill and to the team. We're moving towards £800,000 in annual rent from the other tenants in Ridgemount Street, because of course, and it's surprising, despite the long history, the number of members don't realise that we own that building, which is clearly a significant asset in central London, where property prices continue to rise. Finally, and it's again a very important contextual issue, I just want to refer us to reserves. And reserves stand at over £1.5 million. That's approaching 5 months operational costs or operational budget. The Charity Commission recommend reserves between 3 and 6 months. But they also say that your reserves need to work actively to pursue your charitable goals. So there's a bit of a double whammy in there, but nevertheless, we've got 5 months of reserves, which is a very positive and healthy state to be in. So that's a quick run through, and plenty of opportunity later to ask more detailed questions on the accounts if you've got questions you want answered. Moving on to the 2017, sorry, long way up, sorry. Just making sure I've got the right slide there. The 2017 subscription proposals. We are not, for reasons you'll hear later, proposing very many changes in 2017. There is no change to most individual subscriptions for this year, not even an increase for inflation. Really only proposing 2 changes. blown up the microphone, okay. Only proposing two, oh dear, that's a bit loud, isn't it? I'll stand back a little bit. Only proposing two major changes. Firstly, our experiment with free student membership has not had the conversion rate that we'd hoped. Also, in conversations with students and with colleagues working in that sector, their view is that a modest subscription would be tolerated and would continue to reveal the same benefits. So we're proposing an annual subscription of £40 for students, £4 a month for 10 months, putting that in that context because we want to encourage people to have direct debits anyway because it's easier for us, easier for you. We're going to continue with the 50% discount for members in their first year of membership, but again, and this theme will be repeated later, with a minimum of £40 as that subscription. And my other proposal to you is that members earning over £42,000 in their first year of membership, which they will, from being a student, I'm sure there will be somebody. There is somebody. We do actually have somebody, so more power to their elbow. Brilliant. Will not be entitled to a discount. Not in terms of subscriptions, but in terms of fees, I am also proposing an increase to fees for professional registration, enrolment, and portfolio submission. They are very modest. They've not gone up for 8 years, and so I'm proposing an increase in those. So as I've said, for 2017, very modest proposals, very simple proposals. Looking ahead to 2018, and this is very much a focus of what's been going on. There's been lots of consultation going on. I hope you've all, A, seen the consultation, B, more importantly, responded to it. And if you haven't, Luke, where's Luke? Luke's over there. He's staying around. Talk to him later. We very, very much want your views on this. One of the questions that's been asked me is, well, why aren't we doing this year? And very simply, they are extremely radical proposals. They will require a huge amount of work in terms of converting all membership categories, all bands, everything. There's a lot of software changes to be made, a huge amount of work that will have to be done. It could not be encompassed in a time period between an AGM in the September and when just before Christmas Day, I think, subscription demands go out. I always get mine on just before Christmas, it's nice. But, so it couldn't be encompassed in that time. Hence, we've got a longer strategy there. Going back to the underpinning causes of this, having stood here and recommended changes to a subscriptions pattern that really is no longer very logical and for some members is incredibly costly, and in terms of all the consultation we had, the feedback at last year's AGM, all of those things, we're looking to provide a membership basis that's A, more affordable, B, better value for money, more open to everyone in the sector, where your benefits are clearer and you're paying less for them in most cases. I'm afraid not quite everybody can win. And that new approach to membership enables us to recruit more members. So that's sort of the basis of where we're going. So what's set out, and I'm sure most of you have already seen this, it is on the website, it's everywhere. These are the proposals. 2 categories to encourage people who are not members and don't want to become members to be involved and give us some money. 3 categories of membership. student member and registered member, and a voluntary self-selecting enhancement, the Leaders Network. As I said, we've been consulting very exhaustively on this and are getting mostly, and clearly some colleagues are concerned, mostly very positive feedback on these proposals. And interestingly enough, a lot of people are saying, oh, yes, I'd actually be quite interested in this Leaders Network. What's in it for me? And we're really developing those options, etc. Sorry, didn't work. It's worked this time. How do that new model translate into where we think subscriptions might be? And I hasten to add, these are not yet fixed in stone. No decision has been made that this will be the level of subscriptions. We've set them out there in the monthly instalments. The yearly one is clearly a naught on the end, but we believe that they are suitably modest for the range of services that will be offered. Some of you will say, and quite rightly, well, hang on, if you're reducing subscriptions for the great majority of members, isn't there a risk to our finances? And quite clearly, there is some element of risk, and we have to be aware of that, hence my introduction about our level of reserves, etc. Clearly, there will be an initial drop in income. At the same time, we'll be investing in sales and marketing to attract new members. Clearly, also, if a lot of people sign up to the Leaders Net, self-selectors sign up to the Leaders Network, that will be beneficial as well. And clearly that comes straight back to what services people will be getting for that enhancement. What I'll also say to you, both as on-treasurer but on behalf of the board as a whole, that we will clearly actively manage that position and manage that transition. Repeat and repeat, we do have a strong level of reserves and we do have diversified sources of income. What do I need to point at? There we go. Right. Okay. So that sets out the new model and the current level of proposed subscriptions. This is getting towards the end of an exercise where we have reviewed our approach to membership. We've moved from you earn this much, you pay this much, to what is your level of professional involvement, etc. Are you a chartered professional? Are you a student? What are you going to get for those services as well? We're currently still testing the approach. We've had several thousand responses to our consultation. 1,500 responses to our consultation, which is really, really very, very good. In December of this year, the final model will be presented to members. That will go to board for discussion in November and for board to agree to be presented to you. In March 2017, we will hold an extraordinary general meeting to discuss this very radical change to our whole ethos of membership, etc. And if you vote for those proposals as they are finally drawn up, then they will become the subscriptions rate for 2018. Proposals are radical, but I do believe that they fully address the express need that members have been making over a number of years that the present model is untenable and unfair. The need to expand our community and membership, and also I believe that they address the commitment I made in a different hall but from the same spot in last year at the AGM. I very much welcome your questions and comments on all three elements are there. I don't know if we want to try and formalise it a bit more or just take questions as they come. Thank you very much. I'll sit down.
Okay, now as you understand, Mike rolled two things into one there. So in the need for clarity and accuracy in taking notes, I'm going to split the two things. So I would now like to invite questions relating to the annual report and accounts from the floor. And then we just sign off on the accounts, and then we need to do the subscription bit. So any questions relating to the annual report and accounts? No, thank you very much. There are no further questions on that aspect. I declare that according to Bylaw 24, the AGM has received and considered the 2015 accounts, and they have been signed off by the auditors. Now it is time to consider those questions. Do we have any questions or comment relating to the subscription rates proposals? Thank you. Do we have a microphone on the floor? Thank you. And then there's another question over here. Thank you.
Hello, can you tell me what the increase will be to the chartership candidates, please? You said there'd be a small increase, but it doesn't say it.
Luke, do we have the specific rate increase for the chartered members?
It's around £10 for each, £10 for each category of professional registration.
Increase of £10. Yes,
So an increase of £10 for the professional registration aspect. Thank you very much for your question. We have another question over here.
Hello there, thank you. May I simply reiterate the representation I've had mentioned at Health Libraries Group for this, for part-time staff who obviously will be paying a certain additional amount by comparison to what they would normally pay because of the fact that there isn't a pro rata arrangement in place at present. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and that is a concern that several members have expressed, and that's why I really emphasise that we're still consulting and things are not yet set in stone. I think what we do need is to arrive at a bare minimum, and that is likely to be £40. And even that is very heavily subsidised. But certainly I know Luke and team are all really looking very hard at how we can continue to make things affordable, but also bring in the income in what's a very radical change. Thank you for that.
Thank you, and thank you. I heard the comment as well at HLG, which was very useful. I think it's important to acknowledge with any membership model that it's an entire structure. So what people tend to do is look at the bit of it that's directly relevant to them and their circumstances. And I think what we're hoping to get from the consultation is a picture about how the overall model works. And the more we understand, for example, about the appetite for the Leaders Network, the better placed we'll be to look at how we accommodate some of the other issues that people are raising. So it's been said, but I think that the main message I would send is for people to send that note back through the consultation. We've obviously taken the part-timers question into account as well here, so that we can look at all of the issues that people are raising and finalise the shape of the overall model. But thank you very much.
Hi, it was a question about the student fees. I've got a cohort of 30 students. I'll be seeing them on Monday. Is the free trial still going? So that obviously I'm going to encourage them to join CILIP. Is it still free for them to join at the moment?
Until the 1st of January,
yeah.
It is free.
Okay. And then after that it's £40. Yeah. Just on the question of the conversion rate, do you know why the conversion rate was so low? Have you any ideas about that?
I don't know whether Luke has got any more detailed feedback on that. It was about 35% conversion rate. The conversion rate both before we introduced the free membership and after the free membership stayed around 35%, so it didn't seem to make that much difference in that terms. Why we only get 35% in membership is another issue that we really need to work on.
Can I invite comment from Simon Bernier?
Oh, sorry, thank you. The other thing I'd just add, we did quite a bit of research looking into this. We really hoped that we were going to buck the trend on this one and prove ALA wrong, as in the American Library Association, that you can make it work. But this was actually something that they found. They had actually had a free student membership, and then they found it was really difficult to bring people into paying, because actually there's a psychological thing about I'm not paying anything and now I'm having to pay something, as opposed to I'm paying something and now I go up. So we're hoping this is going to work better.
Thank you, Simon. Another question on the front, Jason.
Thank you. I was interested in looking at the new model that the members' fee is lower than the fee for the registered professionals. And given the value that the registered professionals give to the profession, I just wonder if any thought had been given to doing that the other way round.
We would hope everybody would give value, because even members still participate locally, etc. Clearly, professionals should be able to get much more out of CILIP than members, and that's the whole basis for the differential charging in terms of access to all of the online learning resources, etc. And as well as having the kudos of being a chartered member, which is something else we've got to push more and more.
I would agree with that entirely. As the chair of the Professional Registration and Accreditation Board, I think my concern is potentially that the value of registration, which I thoroughly agree with you, I do think we give a lot back to the profession, the registered members, and I wouldn't like to see people being put off if they were doing a kind of cost-benefit analysis.
Thank you, and thank you as well for the work that PRAB do, because it's incredibly important to us. It's the aim, or one of the aims, as Mike said, of the model, is to welcome into this professional body people who might not previously have considered themselves to be part of our profession, and to be open and inclusive to the way that people are working today. What that means is not that we in any way devalue professionalism or professional registration, but that we find ways of strengthening the pathway from a simpler point of access to investing in your professional registration and professional development. So alongside the model, when we present it at the EGM, we need to be able to show people how we welcome more people into the organisation, but we then hope to move more of them into professional registration. So there's a process and a sort of sales approach that's attached to how we see that working.
At the moment, according to the information on the CILIP website, CILIP is open to anyone. I see the new model, you introduced the idea of supporters. That seems to be going back to a much earlier Library Association model of membership, as does the term Extraordinary General Meeting, because that's an old term that went out of use years ago.
I'll ask Nick to comment, to respond on the extraordinary general meeting thing. I mean, I think if we look back, and yes, we're quite clear that we need to open CILIP up to everyone, although there might have been names used before. These are quite specific categories, and we're looking for donors. I mean, it would be really good if we could, because we don't, unlike museums, etc., have a strong history of donation within CILIP or libraries as a whole. And certainly we want to encourage people who empathise with our aims to become supporters and to help push the cause forward. So I think those two new non-members categories could be exploited very positively. In terms of an EGM, Nick?
Yes, thank you, and it's, as ever, very helpful, Alice, thank you. I'll go and take advice on the use of the term EGM. It is a general meeting of the membership that's needed, obviously, as you're aware, and it's outside the normal cycle of the annual general meeting, so it is a general meeting that we need to call earlier in the year to give ourselves enough time to implement the changes to system and product. But I'll take advice on the wording. Thank you.
It is, the term is general meeting, and the board can call a general meeting any time they consider it, and I think it's 100 individual members can sign a petition to call a general meeting at any time to discuss a specific matter. But the meeting that must be held is a general meeting which must be held once every year, and that's the annual general meeting.
And we obviously need to ensure that we're abiding by the regulations around the general meeting in terms of notice to the membership.
Yes, so and the notice for an annual general meeting are slightly different, but the principles are the same.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question over here.
Hi, I'd just like to go back to the point about students, please. I notice that you've got it down as paying in 10 instalments, whereas a lot of students actually have bank accounts that don't allow direct debits to be set up. So you're actually imposing a bit of a burden on those students. I'd also like to know whether you'd consider making it so that only new students are charged, so anyone who's in the middle of an undergraduate or postgraduate course wouldn't be charged until they'd finished their degree. And also, I was just wondering, as part of your impact assessment on students, did you get any figures on how many students actually don't join CILIP, either on a free trial or previous figures on when they were paying for subscriptions? Thank you.
I mean, direct debit is clearly easier for us, and for many it is easier. Clearly we also accept an annual fee as well, but those are the only two practical mechanisms that we can operate within in terms of banking, etc., because otherwise it would get extraordinarily complex. I think in terms of student membership and take-up, it varied significantly institution to institution. But I'll look to Simon, if he can have a microphone.
Yeah, we do try and keep a track of what's happening in terms of market share with student membership. It's quite tricky because the statistics tend to come out a couple of years after the tranche that we've got going through, but it looks generally like we roughly take about a 2/3 market share of the numbers of students, but we do get a pretty good overall number of students as part of that. Now I was going to say something about what was your other question? Payment, 10 monthly instalments, so yes, they can pay what? Whenever
Student accounts not accepting direct debits.
Yeah, well they can just pay whenever they want. What was the other bit? If they're paying a lump sum, okay. I mean, the thing is, at the moment, obviously they're paying nothing. They aren't be paying very much. We're talking about £40 £1,000 for a year here. The other thing, which I think was the point that I did want to make, was that it's really important to look at who our students are. When I went through library school a time ago, there was still the majority of people now on postgraduate courses. A lot of them are actually working. So, it's not like we're trying to look after an 18-year-old fresh out of school or fresh out of A-levels. There's a far greater diversity, and as I say, a lot of our students are actually working full-time as well.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
Thanks. I'd just like to know a little bit more about the Leaders Network, please. How you think it's going to work, what it looks like, how it differs from what's currently available within the special interest groups and the different sectors that we already have. So yeah, if you could just expand on what the Leaders Network is, please.
The proposals for the Leaders Network are coming forward for the vote at the EGM in March, so it's too early to go into detail about what's actually going into it now, because we're still shaping it. One of the reasons for that is we wanted to see what kind of appetite there was for it. Is this a tiny group of people or is it a significant group of people? And the initial results from the consultation are that it's a more significant group of people than we had expected. What's interesting is quite a lot of people have said yes to it on principle. A much larger number have said it depends on the quality of the product and what goes into it. So we know that we need to set out the detail of the proposals. The intention is that we have content that is specific to the needs of people that go into that network, that we're very clear about creating opportunities for people to develop their leadership skills, building on some of the work we're doing already around CPD. So the detail of the model will be set out in time for people to know about it before they have to make a choice and vote, but it's too early in this process to be able to lay it out for you at today's AGM.
Can I just add to that, please? Just to answer the other part of your question, just in terms of the underlying sort of infrastructure, as it were. So, Leaders Network will also be self-selecting in that it's not exclusive to somebody who's in a senior management or senior leadership role, but rather anyone who identifies with being a leader or a manager or aspires to be a leader or a manager. So it is self-selecting, it's an enhancement. If you are an aspiring junior manager, say, and you see the benefits of becoming part of that, then indeed you can, or you will be able to join it, shall I say.
Thank you very much, Luke. Are there any further questions? Excellent. If there are no further questions, it is now time to vote on the proposal. The motion is, I propose Resolution 3 that the rates of CILIP subscriptions for 2017 as proposed by the Honorary Treasurer be approved. Everybody cleared? Who will second the resolution? You proposed it,
Kate will second.
Okay, thank you. Kate will second the resolution. And the vote. Those in favour? Yes. Thank you. Are we all counted? Those against? Thank you. Abstentions? Kat, did you count the abstention? I think that's this one. Thank you very much. I declare the resolution carried. Now we move on to item 8, review of the year and a look ahead. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you. I'm going to take the
Very rock and roll.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I've forgotten my prop. There we go. Splendid. Yes, it falls to me to have the proud duty of taking credit for other people's work, really. I'm going to present to you some of the things we've been doing over the past year, and then share with you some of the programs and initiatives and projects we're looking at taking ahead for 2017. So as many of you will know, because many of you participated in it, we spent part of last year involved in setting out our plan through Shape the Future, an open consultation with the sector that delivered this, CILIP's action plan for 2016 to 2020. I'm sure all of you have a copy of it beside your bedside and can quote it verbatim. But essentially, it sets out a plan for how we make CILIP more inclusive, more representative, more effective, have greater influence, and have a greater voice on behalf of our sector. So some things I'd like to talk about just briefly this afternoon are the ways in which we are beginning to deliver that plan. We have this belief that unites us that we are sailing as a sector towards a really interesting and really exciting time for the information and library professions, that people are going to need, as Mary has said, our skills and our professional ethics more than ever before. We spent part of this process reconnecting with our Royal Charter, understanding why we have an Information and Library Association for the UK, what our job is, how we unite all of the corners of our profession. I'm incredibly proud to be part of a profession of some 80 or 90,000 people working across more than 20 industry sectors, making a real difference to all of the communities and the organisations that you work with. We then set out this goal, which is that we want to put information and library skills and professional values at the heart of an equal, a democratic and a prosperous society. So we want to be there front and centre in the changes that are happening in our world, in our society, in our economy. So some of the things we have committed to in this plan. We believe that as a profession, as a sector, we need a strong leadership voice. We need an Information and Library Association that is independent of government, that can speak truth to power with effect and with impact. We want to champion equality and diversity. We want to do what we've been doing today, which is unite and celebrate the fantastic work that's going on across every corner of our profession. We want to deliver value, which is what you've heard as the basis of the new membership model. We need to keep challenging, we need to keep adapting to change, but we have in all things to be positive and proactive. And so that is the aim of the changes that I hope you've started to see at CILIP, and certainly the changes that I believe you'll see in the months ahead. So I just wanted to focus on 4 areas that we've been working on within the team within CILIP, and also within our partners at CILIP in Scotland, CILIP Cymru Wales and CILIP Ireland. So how we become more of an influential voice, how we strengthen our community, how we help you in your life and your career succeed and do more, and then how we are starting to support, drive innovation. So I was incredibly proud of this campaign when it went live. We know from all of the conversations we've had around Shape the Future that people want a stronger voice from CILIP about the changes and the neglect that are going, particularly in our public library sector, but also in schools, also in prisons, also in other parts of the public domain. And so thanks to our team at CILIP, we launched My Library by Right. We've had incredible messages of support from authors, from business people, from political leaders, looking at the importance of that value of the public library service. So we've had a lot of people that are willing to step up and say it matters and it makes a difference. But what we need now is for them to put their money where their mouth is. We launched the campaign website that said if you only have a few moments in your day to give us to activism, there are things that you can do. And we've already seen letters going out from this website to local MPs who are then going to the Department for Culture, the new Secretary of State, the Minister for Civic Society, and saying, what are you doing to change the picture for our public libraries? We've had a much greater quality of engagement. One of the ironic outcomes of the EU referendum is that the last group of policymakers left and the new group are much more amenable to a discussion about how we drive our libraries and our information sector forward. So we've had a far better quality of engagement with the Department for Culture, but also departments for Business, Education, Innovation and Skills, Department for Education, Department for Health and elsewhere. One of the great unseen parts of CILIP's work, we have a policy unit within CILIP that do nothing more than scan what's going on in the policy environment in government and try and get the messages about the value and impact of our profession into those consultations. So we have responded to 14 government inquiries, including evidence around things like the draft investigatory powers bill. We've contributed to inquiries around the welcoming and treatment of migrants when they arrive in the UK. We've contributed to consultations around the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. And so we are influencing policy through evidence and argument every day. Following on from My Library by Right, we've seen a far greater emphasis on the Public Libraries Act, the provisions of a statutory service. And so we've seen coming through Hansard far more usage of the Act to question the impact of austerity policy and localism on our public library service. Now, that's a beginning. I'm not presenting this as anything other than a battle that we've engaged rather than a battle that we've won. But it is good to see the early signs that people are picking up that message. I was on BBC Radio Oxfordshire this morning talking about open access, automated systems in libraries. We've been incredibly active in the media, in reaching out through local radio, through television, through the press to get that message across. And I think that is something that we uniquely, as the Independent Library and Information Association, are in a position to do. And we've had our lovely faces. Pretty much every photograph of anything CILIP does at the moment has St. Stephen staring down from us beneficently. We know that they are not shattering the stereotypes of librarianship. We know that we need to bring in different faces and voices. But having the support of these people is helping us to build the credibility and get the message across of what we're doing. So we're going to be doing some things in the next 12 months which build on that momentum. We're reintroducing the all-party parliamentary group for libraries to provide a platform for cross-party political engagement. We're going to be gearing up for the local elections across the UK in May 2017 to encourage people, as we did successfully before with Election Watch, to vote libraries, to ask about libraries as a doorstep issue. And if you live in one of those areas where the council is making short-term, money-driven decisions about the dismantling of a library service, ask them why and ask them how they're going to change that picture. We're also really excited to have announced a new campaign jointly with our partners at Health Education England, looking at the tremendous importance of good knowledge, good data, good evidence in decision making, the million decisions a day that get made across the NHS and how those can be driven by library and information professionals. In terms of our community, you'll know this, I think, already, that we have this amazing network across the UK, in all corners, in all nations, driven by incredibly passionate volunteers. So the act of being a community, of being CILIP, takes place in rooms and pubs and meeting rooms all over the country. And we thank every single one of those people for the time and effort and commitment they put into this network. We've had 4 national conferences. Many of you will have been in Brighton for the CILIP conference. We've had the fantastic CILIP's events during the year, the joint LAI and CILIP Ireland conference, and indeed CILIP Cymru Wales. We have the ability to bring people together, to network and to unite across the country. And then similarly, I don't know how many of you will have participated in these, but there are literally hundreds of member networks, special interest group meetings and events. It feels like I could be going to a SIG meeting every single day of the week, and in fact there are some weeks when I do. But we are driving innovation, sharing ideas, building community across more than 20 industry sectors, and that is all thanks to the work that those member networks do. We have a very active, very welcoming and inclusive social media community growing all the time as a platform for people to share and to communicate. And then looking ahead, we have this really fundamental moment, this opportunity to create a membership model that enables us to welcome into our organisation, into our community, all of those people that share the commitment to our values and want to build their skills, but don't see themselves necessarily pursuing the path of professional registration. We want to be able to bring people in and encourage them to build their skills and invest in their career and their professionalism. I'm really excited about the proposal that's now being taken forward by a transitional board to create a new special interest group, the Knowledge and Information Management Group. We are, in many ways, I think, the natural home for the library profession. I want us to be the natural home, too, for library and information and knowledge management professionals, and this new SIG is a vital step towards achieving that goal. We're also really pleased with this development around the Retired Members Guild. As you'll know, a significant number of our membership will be looking at retirement in the next 5 to 10 years. Retirement is not what it used to be. If anything, it's busier than it's ever been. And so we have this cohort of professionals that are approaching a time when they're going to move out of one phase of their career and into another. And so it's fantastic to be able to bring that into CILIP as a group so that we can properly support an offer that speaks to the way life works when you reach that part of your life. In terms of helping you succeed, there are some really exciting developments. Again, often unsung, but one of the most popular things we do is people looking for jobs. And the fact that we advertise through ListJobs.net and provide information about opportunities to grow and to develop and to move on. And what we're seeing increasingly is this theme, which I believe will be taken through over the next 2 years, around transferable skills. People thinking not about I am one kind of professional for their career, but how they chart a career progression that moves through many different paths. I hope as many of you as possible will have had a chance to find out about the online interactive PKSB. It's a really important development that brings the professional knowledge and skills base off the page and makes it something dynamic, a tool that you can use to plan your career. And so I really hope that as many of you as possible will make use of that. We're trying to build in this idea of supporting you in your career and your professional development at things like, this was at the CILIP conference in Brighton. But we're also bringing in new tools, new products that help people specifically with mapping out their career and their development. So we're introducing a careers hub with a new set of resources about how you plan that career, how you make those transitions. Next year we're going to be introducing some really exciting new content, which is around some new areas of our work, thinking about information management, thinking about information literacy, thinking about leadership and management and building that proposition, because we really want to help our members get on in their professional lives. And then finally, around the work we're doing to drive innovation. Many of you, I know, will already be customers of the fantastic Facet. Facet is a vital part of what we do at CILIP. It is a fantastic way of getting early signals about what matters in our profession and then understanding how we internalize that knowledge into the rest of our offer. You know, I hope many of you, about the kind of research and mapping work we're able to do. So thanks to the workforce mapping project that we undertook jointly with the Archives and Records Association, we are for the first time to be able not only to provide a comprehensive picture of what's going on in our workforce, but to strategize to meet those future needs. We have that evidence about what's happening in the workforce to ensure that we can plan effectively. We've had really exciting developments, particularly in accreditation of LIS teaching around the world. So we've accredited courses in Hong Kong, we've accredited the first bilingual course in Oman. We're seeing demand all over the world for our accreditation model, because it does help to provide that guarantee of relevance and currency of the knowledge and information that's being provided. We'd love to see the same growth in the UK, but that's perhaps a plan for further down the line. So looking ahead, we're going to be bringing in a new information and library evidence base. At the moment, evidence about our sector is spread across 1 million different platforms. We want to create a single portal to evidence and information and research and data about our sector, because we think that's vital if we're going to plan effectively for the future in having a comprehensive and credible evidence base. We're also looking now at working towards, in 2019, a comprehensive UK information skills strategy. But the first step towards that is a specific piece of work to look at the future needs of the public library sector. So we're starting to work with SCL and the Leadership for Libraries Task Force on a public libraries skills strategy that looks less at where the skills needs are today and more at where the evolving needs are of communities of public libraries and therefore of the people that work in them. So we are your association. We want to be an association that you are proud of. We are here to represent, to unite, to bring together the interests of the library information and knowledge community. So we've come a long way in the past year. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of you, all of the people and the staff at CILIP that have made a lot of these initiatives possible. We have a long way still to go, but I think we absolutely have the foundation we need to deliver a truly effective UK information and library association. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nick, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person who'd like to thank Nick for all the extraordinary work he's done this year and the team for the extraordinary work that they've done this year. Does anyone have any questions or comments relating to the review, to the annual review? I'm sure that if anyone has any detailed comments, Nick would be happy to have those sent in, so please do. In particular, I'd like to address this to anyone following on the live feed. If there's anything that you would like to comment or feedback about this, the fantastic work that's gone on in the last year, please don't sit on your laurels, please do send that in. We now move on to any other business. If anyone has any other business that they wish to raise, appropriate to the AGM and within the bylaws, please do so now.
What news of what I think is sometimes referred to as the international branch, but there isn't one? How are members living outside the UK represented within CILIP?
This isn't meant to be a glib answer, but it's going to sound like one, in the usual way. So they are actively participating in our consultations. I know that in the Shape of the Future consultation we had extensive responses from outside the UK. I believe in the membership model consultation we've also heard from non-UK members, both about positive ideas and about concerns. So we are engaged with and communicating with our members overseas. We have taken steps within the governance model to ensure that where there are decisions that are being made, for example, around things like IFLA and awards, that we are taking into account the interests of those international members. So essentially we've taken what were the erstwhile functions of that board and spread them into the activity of the board and the decisions we're making.
Representation. There isn't, as far as I understand it, there isn't a mechanism that they have specific representation, like I live in Leicester, so I am automatically a member of the East Midlands branch. But when I lived in Norway, I wasn't automatically a member of anything except CILIP itself. So is there any way of the particular needs of people living outside the United Kingdom being fed to CILIP head office because there is a branch or someone they can send their concerns to, specifically because they are living outside the United Kingdom?
I mean, only to reiterate, they send them directly through to us within the CILIP office, so there isn't a separate group that represents them.
I think it would be more likely a branch, because CILIP is allowed to set up branches outside this country.
We are. I would be very worried about creating additional bits of our already very complex governance structure. Nobody outside of this question has asked us for it. And so I think what we would want to do is look at the demand for it and then take a view on whether it was something that was useful to be doing. But at the moment, nobody has expressed a concern. We do hear regularly from international members. Nobody has expressed a concern about needing a separate representative body for them.
Well, I certainly felt the lack of one when I was living abroad.
Any other business to raise? Thank you very much. Our final point is the date of the next meeting. I believe I'm right. Nothing else on that? I haven't missed anything? No. The date of the next meeting, the date of the next annual general meeting. This date will be agreed by council and members and will be notified in the usual way in accordance with our bylaws. Thank you very much, everyone. I think that all that falls on me now is to conclude the business of the AGM. I want to particularly thank everyone who has come to Leeds for this meeting. It's been lovely seeing everyone, and it's been lovely seeing Leeds. I also wanted to take time to thank everyone who's been following us on the live stream, and I do want to make sure that anyone on the live stream, please don't feel left out. If you do have any comments or questions that you want to add, please do send those in. And if there is anything that people still feel is left lingering in their minds after this event, please do contact CILIP HQ and one of the team will get back to you, or you can just corral them this afternoon and you can ask them. Thank you very much, everyone. I now formally close the official business meeting of the AGM. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the CILIP Annual General Meeting. We hope you enjoyed this live video stream and encourage you to share your reflections on the issues raised during the meeting using the hashtag CILIPAGM. A video of this meeting will be available shortly. Please follow @CILIPinfo for further details. Thank you once again for joining us live at the CILIP AGM 2016.